10:32. Let's start on time. Thank you. All right, the meeting is officially called to order. If you'd all please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. All right, I'd like to call for a moment of silence for our recently departed residents, friends, and neighbors, as well as those suffering around the world. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Michael Messina,
Present.
Ed Whitman,
Present.
Mary Adler, Carol Butterworth, present. Charlie Roth.
Present. I would now please ask for a motion for the approval of the July 18th, 2024 open board meeting minutes. May I have a motion?
I move to accept the July 18th minutes.
Okay, may I please have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed, state nay. The ayes have it. The motion to approve the minutes is passed. That's the formal start. And we listen up. Okay. Now give the President's report, which normally includes motions, updates on some topics, and other things. So there are no motions for approval at this meeting. Zero motions, so that means that expenditures over $10,000, there are none. Yeah, okay, good. All right, so continuing on with my report, I would like to encourage all residents who have not voted on the restrictive and protective covenants to please do so that we surpass the minimum quorum of 50% of all houses in the development. So 926 divided by a half means we need 463 votes. Now, we do receive data on the number of electronic votes that have been cast, but the exact number of the ballots that have been submitted on paper is an unknown. So we have not reached quorum from the electronic votes. So the voting will continue until August 26th. So all those that haven't voted, please do. Generally speaking, what has been historic in the past doesn't mean it's going to hold true. 2/3 of the votes come electronically, and 1/3 comes paper. But until you open the box, and the box is not opened until August 26th, the end of business. And then the election committee is responsible for opening up the box, validating the numbers that are in there, also making sure that people didn't vote twice, and things of that nature, right? And then also making sure that those people that are not eligible to vote, as an example, if people have not paid their HOA fees, they're not current, they're not able to vote. So the election committee takes care of all of that. Now, there were 8 items on the ticket, we'll call it, that had to be voted on yes or no. Then they have to tally up the numbers of yeses and nos for each individual 8 categories. And then, in order for it to pass, 2/3 of the people that voted have to vote either yes or no, depending. So a 2/3 vote means that it could pass, or 2/3 says no and it did not pass. So that's kind of the basics. Now, I had to ask the question this morning. The election committee is done. They have the results. What happens next? I said, geez, I don't know. We called the lawyer. What's the right way to do it? So those results have to be shared with the community, obviously, and the manner with which they're going to be shared. You know, we're toying around an idea of having a town hall meeting to go over the numbers, putting it in print, But we're going to get together with the committee that did all the work, the election committee, the lawyers, and figure out the right way. Okay? So it's really something that the election committee takes full charge of. And then we'll find out the results. Now, there was one other point that... All right, so that's the course of events. So on August 26th, the voting will end. Then the election committee will do their thing. Then we will have the results. Then we will share the results. And then, just remember what I have to say, then all of these things that pass, that are changes to the restrictive covenants, then have to go by motion to the township for ratification and for listing. And then they become official. So that's the whole process, all right? Okay. I only have two more things to talk, and then I'm going to move on to other board members. So we have, talking about trees. In 2023, $25,000 was budgeted for the removal of dangerous trees. Again, in 2024, an additional $25,000 was budgeted. The plan is to continue to budget $25,000 in the 2025 budget as well. Although this seems like a lot of money, it is not nearly enough to catch up on the 29 years of tree growth here at Lake Ridge. And by the way, I looked it up. We have 14.36 acres here at Lake Ridge. I don't know how many trees, but it's a bunch. So for those that have become dangerous, we're trying to catch up. Because before 2023, it really either wasn't as much an issue or it just wasn't identified that we should start a program to try to catch up on this. So, needless to say, there is a harsh reality that every tree that needs to be dealt with is not going to happen by the end of this year. Okay? But we're trying our best to sort out the most dangerous trees first. Okay. The only other thing that I was going to report on was the pool season. Normally the pool season ends at conclusion on the holiday. And then, of course, then the pool would be closed on the outside, and the indoor pool has been open and will remain open. In years past, if we find that right after the holiday it's going to be a hot week, we will keep the pool open on the outside without lifeguards. And that will mean when we do that, it's not open for visitors. There'll be no family swim time. So there is the possibility it could get extended, but we have to wait for the weather. Okay, but the indoor pool is open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night, just so you know. And that's really all I have from the President's report. And I will now ask for the Vice President's report, Ed.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming. First of all, I'm liaison to the Outdoor Activities Committee, and I have a report from them that it's important to understand. The Sports Week Awards Luncheon is going to be held Saturday, August 31st at 11:30 p.m. here in the ballroom. Seats are still available at $12 per person. So if you're interested, please place your check and names of the people who will be attending. So checks only, please. No cash, checks. Doesn't say that here, but I know as a former treasurer that checks, please. Checks and the names of the people wishing to attend. Put it in the outdoor activities slot in the kiosk so that they can make arrangements for a successful awards week luncheon. Okay? Yes?
The checks, Lake Ridge HOA.
Make the checks available to Lake Ridge HOA. Thank you, Rick. Okay. All right, so that's for Sports Week. Second concern or issue is that it's very important for each homeowner to have an accurate survey of exact metes and bounds of their property. If you submit a concern with regard to, say, for example, trees that you wish to be cut, that you think are uncommon. It's very important to know whether they're uncommon or not, and to do that, we need to have a survey of your property line so that we know what's your responsibility as opposed to the HOA's responsibility. So, in submitting a concern sheet, make sure you have the accurate survey. And I say a current survey because if during the period between the original layout of these homes back in the mid-90s and the present day, some people, perhaps not you, but former owners may have added a sunroom, and that changes the survey. So an accurate current survey is important to determine where exactly the property line ends and the common begins. Trees growing on the common are the HOA's responsibility. Trees growing on your property are not. So important to have a survey. This also applies to drainage. Drains running between homes are almost certainly on the homeowner's one or the other property line. So that's a different story too. At the present moment, to pick up where Mike was mentioning about the cutting of dangerous trees, at the present time we're receiving bids. We have 2 bids, we're waiting a third to cut down the current list of 10 trees. And when we get that third bid, we will assess which is the lowest and get award the bid, and the trees will be cut. That'll bring the total number of trees that we have cut under this program to 40 trees. So we are continuing to pay attention to the concerns about trees on the common that need to be cut. We are also discussing the removal and replacement of these 4 rather pathetic, sickly looking trees that are on the left side of the gazebo as you drive up and stop. Almost many people have submitted verbally, if not concern sheets, saying they look really yucky. So we're thinking of removing and replacing those, and we've discussed this with an arborist, so that may be in the offing soon. And let's see, and that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ed. Obviously, trees are a concern, but that, I call it a show front, the gazebo. That really needs to be cleaned up a lot, and a lot of people have commented on it. So we will be working on it. Okay, so now we will move on to the treasurer's report from Mary.
Okay, our income statement, our operating funds for 7 months ending July 31st, 2024. Our net loss was over budget was $10,439. The principal factor that contributed to this was, but the only good part was our income was $21,000 better than the actual budget. The surplus carryover from 2023 was $31,000. This was partially offset by lower contributions. Lower contributions of the closing costs of home resales by $9,300. We sold 28, our budget was 36. Our expenses were $31,000 over budget for the 7-month period due to higher legal fees, higher clubhouse janitorial expenses, pool equipment repair, and maintenance. In addition, our trash removal costs are running over budget due to lower reimbursements from the township. And we are working on getting the township to get their money to us a lot quicker. Our lawyers are talking, and hopefully we can gauge some of the money that we have not been given from our reimbursements that are due us. On July 31st, our cash and investment funds total approximately $2.7 million, most of which was in the replacement fund, which had a balance of approximately $1.8 million. The funds held are invested in CDs insured by FDIC, in U.S. Treasury notes, in money market funds, and of course we do keep some money in cash for emergencies. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mary. We will now move on to our next report from Carol.
Thank you, Mike. As I said at previous meetings, it's important to sign concern sheets. If not signed, they're invalid. So if you have a concern about meticulous landscaping, for example, do sign it and turn it into the office. As board liaison to the Documents and Policy Committee, I'll be meeting with them on Wednesday, September 11th, or it has been rescheduled. And the bylaws with amendments will be discussed. August 26th is the final date for voting on those 8 questions regarding the restrictive and protective covenants. So I'll have more on that at the September open board meeting. Do vote. Even if you vote no on every question, it's important to vote so a quorum of 463 is reached. There is one silly question in there about the spelling of the word leash, but our lawyers say it must be addressed. All right, do keep your garages closed more often. Residents are seeing a variety of animals lately, in addition to the groundhogs. There's wild turkeys, deer, foxes. I see a lot of deer where I live. And recently I saw a pair of young deer munching on my hostas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. We will now move on to Charlie Rott for the Director at Large report.
Good morning, everyone. The ARC standards are being reviewed and will be updated in the near future. The last approved updated standards were ratified in August of 2020, so they are a little behind schedule, but they will be updated. A reminder from the ARC committee, any broken, cracked, or damaged windows are the homeowner's responsibility. In particular, the inserts in the palladium windows we have found out from a few contractors, cannot be fixed. So that's that half moon with the vertical pieces when they break away. So the only alternatives are to replace that window, or a few people have put in what they call a 5-pon, which is, it's a solid decorative insert, usually with raised panels, and it's installed in front of that window. So from the exterior, you can't see the damage that's done with the insert. Of course, when you're sitting in your living room or whatever, you're still going to see that the window is broken, that trim in between the glass. But the ARC is going to be looking for these violations, and you will be notified of that. Also, a reminder, under no circumstances is it any contractor's responsibility to fill out or turn in any architectural applications. That's strictly the homeowner's responsibility to submit that application and then to display the permit in the window. The contractors are usually are responsible for all permits from any town or various utility companies. The Home Sales Committee has reported that the program is in effect and moving along with no complaints. We have taken a stand proactively active stand, and we are investigating the possible installation of a standby generator in the annex. I am getting some quotes, and it's to be discussed. There's nothing etched in stone, or we don't even know if we're going to do it. It'll depend on our finances. But we feel that it might be a good idea to at least investigate and possibly have something there to begin. I don't think it's going to be very feasible to do it in this building, or it's very, very expensive to do that in this building. But we are looking, nothing concrete. We will get back to you in the future. And just one thing, I see a couple people from the gym committee. I know they have been off all summer, but I believe that they will start up again in September with their meetings. And one quick side note, please don't move any of the equipment in the gymnasium at any time, okay? We sometimes go in there and all of a sudden there's equipment 5 feet away from where it was. Or, you know, it can become a trip hazard. The equipment is put there for a specific reason, and we don't want the equipment being moved all over the place. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add something. Concern sheets. I had a resident call me up and say, you know, I put in a concern sheet, my neighbor across the street didn't bring in their garbage or whatever for 5 days, their garbage bill. We require the concern sheets, and the concern sheets, as you know, we've mentioned, have to be signed. I want to assure everyone here that if someone registers a concern and that person said, who told you about that? We do not offer who told them. So some people say, well, I don't want my neighbor to be mad at me. I get it. But we don't offer the information. Now, the neighbor may say it must be Susie down the block, because I don't get along with Susie. Whether it's right or wrong, we do not confirm. The office does not confirm. We have a signed concern sheet, and that's all the information we give you. So use the concern sheet as necessary, but it is anonymous to that person who you're registering the concern. And I'm going to say this, I know it's very difficult. This time of year, especially after that hot spell, there are weeds growing all over the place, right? Now, I'm a lunatic, and I'm out there like twice a week raking up the leaves, the weeds. But I want to tell you that some people aren't able to do that. But if it gets to the point, and someone caught me just before I came up here and showed me pictures, you need to put in a concern sheet, because we don't see every side of every 926 houses of what you're looking at when you open your door to go out. So, you know, it's very hard to keep on top of it, but we are trying to keep how the community looks up to a particular standard. Okay, so we will now move on to the manager's report. Ray?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Just to go over some of the projects that we've had going on, the street sweeping service was completed July 29th and 30th. Usually it's done earlier in the year. Weather really didn't cooperate this year, and it really proved useless at the time in July, because around that time with the storms, the rain, and the dry weather, the leaves and debris would drop right after the street sweepers went through. So this is something that will be reviewed. It is a contract item every year, something that will be reviewed in 2025. Innovation Power Washing was approved for the cleaning and staining of the split rail and guards around the community. We're looking to get that project started in the end of August, get that cleaned up before fall. The project for concrete walkways, ramp repairs is scheduled to start Monday the 19th. Quality First was awarded the contract on this, and these are all the sidewalks that you see highlighted with the pink spray out in the neighborhood. We'll be demoing this ramp out here and putting in an ADA compliant ramp. They've also been helping us with the evaluation. We were out this week to look at some possible repairs and remedies to some of the sports services we had with the shuffleboard, some railings for the tennis court areas, We are also out looking at the retaining wall. As mentioned in previous meetings, we had Kipcon Engineering out here to look at all the railroad tie retaining walls we had. We have one concern immediately or within the next 24 months is the Crisfield Vicari retaining wall. That was highlighted in the engineering report. And as we've worked with Quality First, or I've worked with Quality First before in installing block walls, we went out just to get a general idea of what we may be looking at as far as price goes. That would have to be worked into next year's budget or in the reserves, depending on how far we're looking to do this. Also entailed in that project is the second level of that wall has all private or resident plantings up there, trees and shrubs that are gonna have to be removed due to the construction and the fortification of the new walls. So that's something that we're gonna have to be looking at and planning as well. Everybody's familiar with the 2326 East Ashfield home, the HUD home here on the corner. Unfortunately, it is the first home that people see when they drive through the neighborhood, and it's probably one of the most unkempt. We've been working with them, not so much the estate, but the HUD agency, as far as the maintenance of this home. We did have them come out earlier in the year to do the landscaping beds. We had to fight with them to get rid of that dead street tree out there. But then lately, they've been denying any responsibility for coming out and maintaining the exterior of the home. They're stating that by their contract, they're only supposed to take care of the interior, make sure it's safe. So the attorney was commissioned to contact not only the HUD agency, but the estate executor for that home, that the stump removal, power washing, landscape beds, broken windows and screens, that all needs to be taken care of right away. Otherwise, the association will have that work done and have that billed back to both entities. We're still waiting for results on that. We had the irrigation well repairs on wells 1, 2, and 8. They were outfitted with the weather track controllers and individual flow sensors to get them up to date. That was actually just completed yesterday. That was already in the 2024 budget. So we're looking forward to 4 more wells to be done too in the next 2 years. As mentioned before, it's also the cladding project. The construction's complete. We're waiting for early to mid-September to get the landscaping done with cut above. Those numbers are already plugged into the project. We're just waiting for better weather because we're looking at plantings, reconstruction of the beds, and laying down sod out in the area of both buildings. And a quick note, first meeting for the Helping Hands group was held today. This group was advertised at numerous meetings. It was in the views describing the jobs that they can do to help out residents with their smoke detectors, changing filters, changing batteries, and it was held today. Our group will be managed by Alan Maines. Alan, thank you for volunteering. The request will come into the office for any of these repairs. We will get them over to Alan. Alan has put together a good group of residents here to go out and help these people. We will get the accompanying paperwork once it's completed, have it filed in with the unit, but this is a resident-to-resident group, and we look to hopefully be successful as we planned it to be. Proposed projects we're looking, and we've had prices, and we're looking towards crack repair on the tennis courts. We have received proposals regarding detention pond drainage area cleanings, especially after the big storms. It's done on a per case basis, but something in there as far as a preventive maintenance plan. We have talked to the township attorney, as Mary said, regarding our municipal reimbursements. There is contracts with the township for percentage back on what we pay for trash for street lighting and leaf removal. We bill quarterly to the township for trash, semi-annually for the lighting, annually for the leaf. We usually got paid within 30 to 40 days of submitting the invoices. Just to let you know, and to accompany the treasury report, we have not been repaid yet for 2024 invoices we've sent up. We appreciate there's a lot of confusion going on with the township, but the lawyers, specifically Dave Merritt, who has experience with other communities who've run into this roadblock, is working with the township to find out what's going on and when we're going to get these reimbursements. We were previously told that what we were billing the last 2 years had now hit a cap where we weren't getting any extra money owed to us for 2022 and 2023. We did not get the formula for their computations till the end of 2023. We've asked for the 2024 formula, and we have not heard anything yet. So rather than beat our heads and go back and forth, we have the attorney working for us in that area. There have been requests coming in, and it's a project we're still looking at. Is a lot of the residents or the properties have those little drains in their backyards. Some of them are starting to sink, some are clogged. What we're looking at is who had those drains installed. Some were installed during construction, some were installed by the resident, some may just be one-drop cistern or tie into a sewage area, but we're looking to see where those, and it'll have to be on a more or less an individual basis to get it mapped out, where those drains go and how it would be handled, whether it be the association or the resident themselves. That we're still working on. Again, as mentioned before, concern sheets, we're asking that they be reused for any requests or complaints. If you're having any work performed on your property, always request a certificate of insurance from the contractor to protect your interest and your home. And two other items that we've been working on. Earlier in the year with the cladding project, we had KPI go out and inspect homes for people who were interested in finding out, do they have any leakage problems? Are there any cladding problems? Any window leakage? KPI had come back, as you know, and gave the association one price per model. It didn't matter if you needed just a window repair, caulking, or the whole siding done. The project was going to be one price for everybody. It just it was not favorable to the residents of Lake Ridge. So we've been going out and talking to other companies, and so far the best solution we have, we've worked it out with all county exteriors here. And what they have is they have a checklist that they can perform for the siding and cladding projects, questions you may have, roofing inspections if you want. But what they're going to do for the siding and cladding is they would come out and inspect the penetrations for caulking, pipes, vents, and hoses, check in for any damages or holes in the siding or trim, inspect fascia for lifting, flaking, or discoloring, check shutters are secure or applicable, ensure gutters are properly secured, wood fascia is intact, any signs of water intrusion, inspect flashing around any windows presenting a leak, inspect your gable vents, check flight ponds, and note any miscellaneous areas of concern. The difference between this and KPI is that they'll come out and they'll tailor a proposal specific to your unit itself. You may only need caulking, you may need to have the siding done, but they'll come out and they'll look at it and assess what you need on a one-on-one basis, and it won't be the blanket list. What we will do is we have the list of homeowners who submitted their names and numbers. We will turn that over to working with Christy over there, give her the numbers, and they will start contacting homeowners and making appointments to come out and look at your unit. If you are no longer interested, please tell them no, but if you are, they're willing to come out and make that inspection for you. Also, at a recent CAI event, it was brought up about dryer vent cleaning. This is this is really prevalent in townhome or multi-unit buildings, condos, or what have you, where one unit abuts another. Just the fact that if there's damage, whether it be water or fire, one unit could leak into another unit. But they stress that even with single-family homes, such as our HOA here, it would behoove the association to have some sort of record of dry event cleanings by the homeowners. Most of you do it on a regular basis regardless, but what this would do is have the dry event cleaned once every 2 years, and all we would require is just a copy of the receipt by a certified professional of your choosing, and we would file that in with your files in the office. The only thing stalling this right now is splitting the community into 2 groups. I do have a map, pretty much one section and the other section, but this would be authorized by a reading of a resolution by the board and approved. So we're trying to get everything taken care of this, and we will probably be bringing it up at the September meeting. But for your protection, and so we have accurate record keeping here in the association, this is something that the association is looking to do. And the last is, as Mary said, we have had a lot of expenses this year that caused us to go over budget. Some of it was uncontracted work that we had done. A lot of it was back up here for the maintenance of the building, pool costs, repairs. Something's always going on with the pool. But then again, everything here is 30 years old, so a lot require preventive maintenance and repairs. We just wanted to say, again, legal costs, we get questioned on that constantly since we transitioned over. And with the year-to-date since March, since we transitioned, we are up to, it's steady at $3,000 for the transition costs. The cost for the amendment, restricted covenant review, the voting, getting the ballots ready, and the consultations on that are at $7,300. Our general legal is at $2,100. Collections, now that we have no other units in collection, everybody's paid up to date. We're happy about that. We're just still going after co-stawning for the judgment on the awning that never came in. And then we have just around $8,000 to another attorney firm. And that concludes my report.
That was a lot of information. A couple of things as Ray was talking came to my mind. One was the HUD house here that Ray mentioned. We're trying to push to get HUD to do the work, because if we do it, we get that expense. And when are we going to see that money? Will we see that money? So that's an unknown. In terms of the cladding project, we still have not done anything out front in terms of mulching, and the weeds are growing, and periodically we get them to come and they weed, because the legislature for flammable material against a commercial building, which this is considered, has still not been resolved. So what that means is if we mulch and they say you need stone the first 18 inches, then what do we do with the mulch that we put down? Now at some point you have to do something because it becomes terribly unsightly, but that's a reason for that. He mentioned the helping hands. And I spoke to Alan just before this, thank you, and I gotta get you that name of another person. Alyssa has it, by the way. We're up to 12 volunteers of residents in the community that want to help other residents. Nice. Very nice. And the last thing was the dryer vent thing. Well, as it turns out, I have a sister-in-law that lives in another community, and one house totally burned down, and the house next to it, their siding melted down. So this is something that's catching the attention of insurance companies and CAI. So if you're saying, where is this thing about dry events coming from? Dry events are one of the main reasons why there's fires in houses. And if you haven't done it for a number of years, there's an increased risk, and then your neighbor's at risk. And we don't think of it that way, we think of it, oh, it's our house. But if all the siding gets melted on your neighbor's house and their windows have to be replaced, then it becomes a bigger issue. You can get sued. So this is something that we're gonna get that program in place, and most homeowners associations are dealing with it, so this is not just unique to here. Okay. And thank you for your report, Ray. A lot of stuff going on. So now, I am looking to have a motion to complete the business portion of the meeting. May I please have a motion? And seconds. All those board members in favor of closing the business portion of the meeting, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed, state nay. The ayes have it. The business portion of this meeting is now closed.